one of the best way for the floating system to thrive is for the policymakers to adhere strictly to policy of refining our product domestically. Once we are refining our crude oil and we are having our PMA supply, this will reduce a lot of tension in the foreign exchange and thereby creating a little bit of stability. There is also need to control government unnecessary spending. Once you don't waste such a big amount, government will have enough liquidity to take care of many economic roles that is pushing the GDP.
That was Economist Yusha'u giving his view on what he thinks the government should do to make the floating of the Naira work. This and more to come your way on today's episode of Let's Talk Naija. Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Naija, a show where we dig into the latest trending social and political issues in Nigeria with a view to finding solutions. In this episode, our focus is on the floating of the Naira, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Before I go on, please like and share this video and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you as you do that. Reactions have continued to trail the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria to float the Naira after so many years of fixing the exchange rate. To some, floating is a step towards removing some of the roadblocks to Nigeria's development, as it would ensure competitiveness and attract investments to the country, as well as end the fraudulent double exchange market. However, some experts have expressed fears that Nigeria does not have the structural and framework to make floating work. We don't export enough, local production is minute, and we are yet to bridge the infrastructural gap. All these factors, if not fixed first, could defeat the purpose of floating. Others are of the view that floating is a backdoor devaluation of the Naira that is meant to serve the interests of a few rich people, that is, the investors. What side of the divide are you on this floating issue? Let us know in the comment section. This is Let's Talk Naija, a show which amplifies the voices of the common man. Like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you as you do that. Regardless of whichever side of the divide you belong to, my question is, where has floating ever worked? Has floating ever worked anywhere? Last I checked, Egypt tried it. It worked for some time, then their economy crashed. Can anyone explain to me why they think floating will work in Nigeria when it did not work in Egypt and other places? Economist Yusha'u gives his perspective.
When we take Egyptian experience of floating the exchange rate since 2021, you realize that Egypt is faced with so much of multiple economic issues of instability, and that has created a lot of disturbances in the market and thereby making it not even to succeed. If we look at how the market is operating more as advanced economies, particularly when you take the United Kingdom and you take the United States of America, these are big economies and they are all operating the floating system, and you can see that they are gaining, and the economy is taking much stability from those systems. So we are thinking that Nigeria, that is now the biggest economy in Africa, and the investment opportunities are being widening, there is definitely going to be a reduction of demand of the currency, especially for the importation of premium motor spirit, which is taking so much of our reserve. So therefore, I think in the short run, there may be little hitches, but in the long run, when the market is operating and when the floating system is taking advantage of all the combination of economic factors, there is going to be stability, especially in maintaining price stability and maintaining stability of the exchange rate.
Economist Yusha'u explaining why floating failed in Egypt. From what he said, floating is working in developed countries, which is to be expected. After all, they are not called developed for nothing. But it failed in developing economies like Argentina and Egypt. I asked the same question on my Twitter handle as Ihuoma Ukeje. So let me read out all the responses. M. Mutawale said, floating, or in the word they don't want to call it, devaluation, is meant to appease the investors and no one else. Total capitalism is here. As Olufisayo Odu said, floating itself does not guarantee anything. How the economy is managed from now onwards will determine what happens. If the freed up fund is utilized such that local productive and export capacity is improved, currency will become stronger. If not, it will spiral. As Amechi Aneye said, the determinant factor is dollar supply. If the supply is sufficient, then things should be balanced themselves out. I'm no expert. My concern is dollar from where? Is it within our control? Nigerians have a way of bastardizing even the best policies. Has it worked elsewhere? Questions and more questions. At Mosque Aino once said, floating the Naira against the dollar and crashing it in the long run, as the case of Egypt, is not out of the world. Let Nigeria float it first, such that the needless arbitrage goes, players can come into the market with assurance of getting their money back, not trapped. Interesting. Solonso once said, well, this is Nigeria, not Egypt, and mind you, no country in the world that I know of runs a multiple exchange rate except Nigeria. Floating means that the government is allowing the forces of demand and supply to play on the FX. Theirs is to regulate where need be. At Logic is Everything said, Argentina too? Yes, so he's right. Argentina has also tried floating and it didn't work. Interesting responses. Let me throw the question back to you. If floating failed in Egypt, do you think it will work in Nigeria? Let us know in the comment section. As the saying goes, a wise person learns from his mistake, but a wiser person learns from other people's mistake. It is good for Nigeria to know why floating failed in those countries so that we can avoid the pitfalls. For floating to work, government needs to put policies and structures in place to boost local production for export so that we can have adequate supply of dollars in order to stabilize the market and the Naira. We also need more infrastructure and, more importantly, stopgap measures to cushion the effect of floating of the Naira and removal of fuel subsidy on Nigerians. The price of everything has gone up and minimum wage stays the same. The public transportation system is nothing to write home about. Currently, people are paying through their nose for transportation. Yes, the government has not rolled out any palliatives. I read that the NLC and the government have set up a window of 8 weeks to deliver the palliatives. Wouldn't it have been better for the government to delay the implementation of these laudable policies till these things were put in place? 8 weeks is a very long time. Anyway, last, as usual, we will survive. If fuel and dollar like, let them rise to 1K plus, Nigerians go survive. Even at that, it is important for the government not to push the citizens to the wall so that they don't revolt. I leave you today with a clip of foremost economist Bismarck Rwani in an interview with Arise TV, advising the government on the dangers of not taking care of the masses as they implement these laudable policies.
By increasing the petrol price from 200 or so to 511, if the fact that was shared last month was about 712.
Yes.
Right?
Billion, yes, yeah.
712 billion.
Yeah.
And those, because NNPC has more money to give to the dollar equivalent to the Nigerian government, and converting it not at 461 but at 751, our projection shows that the FAC should go anything from 710, 720 billion naira to about almost 1.1 to 1.2 trillion naira next month.
Right.
So the question is that if all the governments in the country got only 710 billion naira last month and now get 1.2 trillion naira this month, what are they going to do with the 1.2 trillion naira to have an effect on the welfare of the people? Right? Yeah. So is this just a raid to take money from the people and use it to run the government? Or is it a deal in which the people are paying and the government is giving in return quality service, since the government is a servant of the people? Right? So that's the thing. Right? I think we've got to see that. So the government gets more money, the people have less money, but the people's expectations are high for things. But the good news is that because of that, right, and because people are changing their behavioral patterns and what they are buying, they are making substitution decisions. Right? I can't eat yam, I'll eat gari. I can't eat butter, I'll take margarine. I'll take 2 cubes of sugar instead of 4 cubes of sugar in my tea. Now they are spending less, they're getting less quality, less quantity, and their tolerance level is actually limited. Now the government has to deliver to the people. They have to deliver to the people in terms of output, infrastructure, education, health, and all of that. So once you have that, in the final analysis, the people and the country is better off. But if not, if people go there and say, okay, from 710 billion, we have 1.2 trillion, and the party continues, people are out there sharing for spoils, looking for all sorts of goodies for themselves, then these people that have paid out money, these people that are suffering,
with higher expectations,
they are not going to take it for too long. The question is, the picture is very clear. You must deliver welfare to the people, because if you don't make it possible, then the people will push back, and that's not good for the country.
Foremost economist Bismarck Irani setting an agenda for the government on what they need to do to make floating work. He or she who has ears, let them hear. Till next week when I come your way with another edition of Let's Talk Naija, I am Ihuoma Ukeje.